In Chapter 2, we'll look at California's political parties and direct democracy. As we discussed earlier in the semester, political parties are organizations of like-minded individuals and interest groups, put forward candidates for public office, they provide candidates with organizational and financial support, and hold them accountable when they're elected. As we mentioned in Chapter 1, parties are weak as organizations in California. Loyalty is strong in the state legislature and among substantial numbers of voters, but weak as an overall organization. As we found out in Chapter 1, why the progressive reformers intentionally weakened the parties. California voters choose their party when they register to vote. It's important for you to know that Democrats have dominated voter registration in California since the 1930s. Today, or February 2015, Democrats are 43.2% of voters registered, Republicans 28%, and independents coming up 23.6%. Another important point for your quiz is that the number of Democrats and Republicans, registered Democrats and Republicans, has been falling over the years. You see Democrats from May 1998 went from 48.6% to 43.2%. Republicans 35.8% to 28%. Meanwhile, people who register as declined the state or independents, that's almost doubled during that time. We hold our elections. Mainly, it's a closed primary. You can only vote for the party's nominees for various offices. But in 2010, we went to a top two primary system for our statewide races. No matter what party, you can choose your preferred candidate from any party. So you can go in and vote. If you're a Democrat, you can vote for a Republican in the primary election. Top two vote getters then meet in November. Top two primary established. Advocates believed that the candidates would need to reach out to independent and moderate voters instead of just the core voters from their own parties. Jury is still out on whether the top two, what impact it's had. We have some mixed results and provide few clues to the long-term impact of top two. See the party organization, you have a state central committee, and then each county has its own central committee. We talked about this on the national level, where the parties get their support. Basically the same in California. Democrats, poor and immigrants, concerned about health care, education, the environment, favor gay rights, gun control, abortion rights, perhaps tax increases to provide public services. Blacks, Latinos, city dwellers, union members, coastal areas, and Sacramento. Republicans worry about big government, high taxes. Republicans believe that government is part of the problem in California. Three different concepts. You'll need to know all of them. Recall, referendum, and initiative. We'll start with the referendum. It allows voters to nullify acts of state government. You have 90 days after the legislature makes a law to collect a number of signatures equal to 5% of the votes cast for governor in previous elections. A potential referendum in the 2016 election would be the single-use plastic bag ban. The legislature passed a law banning single-use plastic bags in grocery stores and other places. Opponents of that have collected signatures and are going toward a referendum so voters can decide that issue in 2016. Initiative, that allows citizens to make policies themselves by drafting a new law or constitutional amendment and circulating petitions to get on the ballot. Qualifying initiative, equal to 5% of the votes cast in the last election. Constitutional amendments, 8%. California's initiatives over the years have been wildly varied and controversial. See, property tax, Prop 98 of 88, 40% of the general fund goes to K-14 education. We've had term limits. We've had Prop 209, California universities barred from using race as a factor in admissions. Prop 8 dealt with same-sex marriage. So we're all over the map when it comes to our initiatives. Some of the initiatives we saw in 2014 had a multi-million-dollar water bond, a rainy day fund for the budget. We had Prop 46, the required drug and alcohol testing of doctors, failed. We may see a significant number of ballot measures in 2016 because of low turnout rates in the last election. That low turnout rate may result in a large number of measures. As you just mentioned, backers of measures need 5% of the total votes cast for governor for an initiative or referendum. So in 2014, based on the election for governor in the cycle before 2014, you needed 504,760 signatures. 2016, 2018, based on the last gubernatorial election, only 365,000 signatures. That's a significant difference that may allow some other groups to get into the game. To get signatures, you generally have to pay people to go collect them, so it won't take as much money, it won't take as many signatures. Some of the ballot measures we may see: legalizing pot for recreational use, extending income tax increases on the wealthy, pension reform, perhaps increasing the minimum wage, and as I mentioned, a referendum about the single-use plastic bag ban. Spend a minute on the politics of ballot propositions. Ballot propositions generally are driven by the opportunity of special interests, individual politicians, and public relations firms. It takes a lot of money to go through with a ballot proposition. 6 California's proposal last year didn't make the ballot. $4.9 million spent by a venture capitalist. It takes about $500,000 to qualify a measure, and millions more to mount a successful campaign. Prop 8 in 2008, $83 million spent. Tobacco companies spent $66 million in 2006, $47 million in 2012. Recall, it's the least used form of direct democracy. What it does is let voters remove office holders at all levels of government between scheduled elections. The process is simple. You circulate a petition with the statement of reasons for removal. You have to collect a specific number of signatures. That varies depending on what jurisdiction you're in. And if enough signatures are collected and validated, an election is. What does the election say? Shall the name be removed from the office of whatever? If I were in council, shall Michael Lukens be removed from the office of city council? If the majority of people vote yes, then either an election or an appointment, whichever the local law requires, fills the vacancy. Gray Davis, governor, is the only statewide official to be recalled in California. Recalling is easier in California than 17 other states. Most of the other states require more signatures and a more specific reason. And recalls generally are rare in California, and they're most often used in local governments, and particularly with parents angry at school board members. That's your video lecture for this chapter. Please use the lecture as well as your study guide to prepare for this week's quiz. Good luck.